Ever wonder how to keep a conversation going with fascinating facts? In a world brimming with knowledge, we often find ourselves in situations where a good fact can be a game changer. Whether it's a casual chat at a party or a hearty conversation over dinner, knowing a few interesting tidbits can make all the difference. It's all about making connections, sparking curiosity, and sharing insights that leave a lasting impression. Consider this: you're at a social gathering, and the conversation starts to dwindle. Suddenly, you share a fascinating fact about the world's smallest mammal or the latest tech innovation, and voila! The conversation is back on track, and you're the center of attention. Today, we're diving into a treasure trove of knowledge. We're about to embark on a journey through astonishing animal antics, wonders of the world, intriguing human body facts, and so much more. Prepare to be amazed by these 100 interesting facts that will surely keep your conversation going. Did you know that a snail can sleep for up to 3 years? Yes, you heard that right. As you can see on your screen, when conditions aren't ideal, they simply tuck in for a long, long nap. Now let's move on from the slow-moving snails to the vibrant animal kingdom that's teeming with fascinating creatures with unique quirks and behaviors. Notice the octopus? These intelligent invertebrates have 3 hearts. You can see the 2 pumping blood to the gills, while the 3rd keeps the circulation going in the rest of the body. And when they swim, that 3rd heart actually stops beating. Now let's transition to our buzzing friends, the honeybees. Notice their waggle dance? It tells other bees the direction and distance to a food source. It's their own little version of GPS, but with more style. Up next is a kangaroo, and it can't walk backward. Watch their muscular tail and long hind feet that make it impossible for them to move in reverse. Let's quickly hop on to the tiny flea. Despite its size, it is one of the best jumpers in the world. It can jump up to 200 times its body length. Picture a human leaping over 2 football fields. In a flash, let's chase the fastest land animal. It can reach speed up to 60 miles per hour in just a few seconds. Don't blink, you might miss it. And now, a deep dive, the ocean where the blue whale resides, the largest animal to ever exist. Its heart weighs as much as a small car, yet this giant creature survives by eating tiny krill. Finally, let's fly with our feathered friends. A woodpecker can peck 20 times. Imagine the headache if we tried that. Well, that's it for our visual journey through the animal kingdom. Let's move on to the next set of illustrated facts. Did you know that Mount Everest grows about 4 millimeters a year? Absolutely. The still-growing majestic peak is a result of the Earth's crust's tectonic movement. Intriguing, right? Now, we're off to Sahara Desert, known as the world's largest hot desert. However, it wasn't always like this. Imagine it around 7,000 years ago, bustling with life, bodies of water, vegetation, and even animals. Now imagine the Amazon River, a veritable of the waterways. Its claim to fame isn't just its vastness. It provides a home to more than 1,000 different species of fish, surpassing the entire Atlantic Ocean. Shifting our gaze to the Grand Canyon, this breathtaking beauty was meticulously crafted by the Colorado River over millions of years. Here's a surprising tidbit. Its formation time is less than 1% of Earth's total age. Coming up next is the Great Barrier Reef, the Earth's largest living structure. It's so vast, it's visible from space. Moreover, it's not a single entity, but a colossal assembly of over 2,000 individual reefs. You've heard of the Northern Lights, haven't you? Did you know that they have a southern cousin? The Southern Lights, or Aurora Australis, can be viewed from spots like New Zealand and Antarctica. Let's now delve into the Dead Sea. Its extreme saltiness lets you easily float on it. Here's the irony. Its salt content is so high that it's inhospitable to most forms of life, hence the Dead Sea. Finally, we ascend to Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest peak. Despite its tropical locale, its peak is shrouded in snow. The reason? The chilling high altitude which can maintain snow. That concludes our tour. It's time to return to terra firma and delve into some intriguing human body facts. Have you ever pondered that our bodies contain 7 octillion atoms? That's an astonishing fact to kick off our journey into the fascinating realm of human anatomy. Here's another staggering piece of information. Every second, your body generates around 25 million fresh cells. Imagine producing the equivalent of Australia's population every second. Each of these cells resembles a thriving metropolis with diverse activities. Ever thought about the strength of your bones? Shockingly, They're 4 times tougher than concrete. Indeed, your skeletal framework could theoretically bear the burden of 5 pickup trucks. Now let's shift our focus to your heart. This indefatigable organ propels almost 2,000 gallons of blood each day. Imagine filling an Olympic-sized pool in slightly less than a year. Talking of blood, were you aware that it covers an incredible 12,000 miles within your body daily? That's tantamount to a round trip from New York to Los Angeles, twice. Here's a marvel we often overlook: our tactile perception. Our skin houses approximately 5 million touch receptors, with nearly 3,000 concentrated on a single fingertip. Time for a slightly eerie fact. Post-mortem, our hair and nails seem to continue their growth. However, it's the skin retracting, creating an illusion growth. Ever puzzled over why we get goosebumps? It's a vestigial trait from our hairier forebears. Goosebumps would puff up their fur, making them appear more intimidating to adversaries. Our penultimate fact revolves around our brilliant brains. In a day, your brain produces more electrical impulses than all the world's telephones combined. To conclude, were you aware that we humans glow? Yes, we emit an extremely faint light, almost 1,000 times less intense than our visual threshold. So in a way, we're all slightly radiant. That wraps up our segment on the human body. Next stop, the cosmos. Ever wondered why Venus's day outlasts its year? It's true, you heard it right. Venus' rotation on its axis, which accounts for a day on Venus, lasts for 243 Earth days. On the contrary, its revolution around the Sun, which makes up its year, takes only 225 Earth days. A topsy-turvy time indeed. On that note, let's jet off to our next-door neighbor, Mars. As we land, welcome to Olympus Mons, the highest volcano in the solar system. Astonishingly, it's 13.5 miles tall, dwarfing Earth's tallest peak, Mount Everest, by almost 3 times. Let's not linger. We are to the gas giant Jupiter, the largest planet in our neighborhood. This behemoth could swallow over 1,000 Earths. Picture the magnificent party you could host there. Our journey continues to Saturn, the jewel of our solar system and its mesmerizing rings. These rings are a cosmic ballet of billions of ice, dust, and rock particles, some as minuscule as grains of sand, and others as gigantic as mountains. From here, let's teleport to the Milky Way galaxy, the residence of more than 200 billion stars. If you dare to count them, brace yourself for a 5,000-year-long task. Did you know, in the observable universe, there are more than 2 trillion galaxies? Yes, the universe is quite a star-studded property. Now let's delve into enigmas of the universe, the black holes. These are space pockets where gravity's pull is so strong that nothing, not even light, can break free. Ever heard about neutron stars? These are the remnants of the colossal stars that have undergone supernova. They're so dense that a teaspoonful would weigh 1 billion tons. Wrapping up with the elusive dark matter and dark energy, these unseen elements constitute about 95% of the universe. We can't perceive or detect them directly, yet we know they exist because of their gravitational influence. This marks the end of our cosmic adventure. Now fasten your seatbelts as we plunge into the realm of technology. Has it ever crossed your mind that the inaugural computer towered at a colossal 2.5 meters? You got that correct. The ENIAC, an abbreviation for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer, was a Leviathan contraption that consumed an entire chamber. Now we house computers in the confines of our pockets. Let's journey further. Were you aware that the premier electronic mail was transmitted by Ray Tomlinson to himself in the year 1971? Although its content was so trivial that he forgot what it contained. We now dispatch a staggering 200 billion each day. Moving on to the internet, originally known as ARPANET. It was the brainchild of the US Department of Defense, specifically for military correspondence. It was only in the year 1989 that Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web as we are familiar with it. Here's another engaging detail. The QWERTY keyboard was architected to decelerate typists. It may seem counterproductive, but it was intentionally designed to avert mechanical typewriters from malfunctioning. Let's now delve into smartphones. The first one was conceived by IBM in 1993 and was monikered Simon Personal Communicator. It was equipped with applications like a calendar, calculator, and it boasted a touch screen. Now, consider the fact that the first video game, Space War, was crafted in 1962. It was a rudimentary space combat game playable on a mini-computer. And were you aware that the first digital camera was the invention of a Kodak engineer in 1975? The camera tipped the scales at 8 pounds and was only capable of capturing images. Surprisingly, our cherished Wi-Fi was initially a botched black hole detection experiment. It wasn't until 1997 that its potential for wireless communication was discovered. Lastly, the first GPS system was launched by the U.S. Department of Defense in 1978. Presently, GPS is an indispensable facet of our everyday lives, guiding us through unfamiliar terrain. That rounds up our technological journey. Now let's delve into some historical trivia. Can you believe Napoleon Bonaparte was terrified of cats? Yes, you heard it right. The individual who almost claimed Europe as his own had a profound phobia of these furry creatures. Now shift our historical lens to a different period. Would you be astounded to discover that Cleopatra, the final active monarch of Egypt's Ptolemaic kingdom, was closer in chronological proximity to the iPhone's creation than to the erection of the Great Pyramid of Giza? Quite unbelievable, don't you think? Changing the scene to ancient Egypt now, did you know that its inhabitants would sculpt their eyebrows with a mineral known as malachite? They held a belief that it possessed mystical healing properties. Transitioning to the era of exploration and discoveries during the American Gold Rush, people were willing to part with a year's income just for a mere glass of water. That does indeed make water worth its weight in gold. Shifting focus to the domain of art, Vincent van Gogh, celebrated for his passionate and emotional application of color and unique brushstrokes, only managed to sell a single painting while he was alive. Hard to believe, right? His most renowned pieces would only gain recognition posthumously. In the land of literature, the celebrated novel To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee was originally christened Go Set a Watchman. It's challenging to envision it with a different title, isn't it? Transitioning to the monarchy, Queen Elizabeth II of England had the honor of meeting more than 10 U.S. presidents since her ascension to the throne, starting with Harry S. Truman. In the sphere of scientific breakthroughs, Albert Einstein was presented with the opportunity to become the President of Israel in the year 1952, an offer he graciously turned down. Let's wrap up our historical with a savory tidbit from the culinary world. The sandwich earned its name from the 4th Earl of Sandwich, John Montagu, who is believed to have invented it to ensure he could continue eating without having to abandon his gambling pursuits. That concludes our historical voyage. And now, we shall transition into some astonishing facts from the world of science. Ever pondered over the incredible truth that a teaspoonful of a neutron star weighs a staggering 6 billion tons? Brace yourself for an intriguing journey as we dive deep into the world of startling science. The realm of science is an abundant mine of mind-boggling facts and revelations, so let's excavate some of its concealed marvels. Have you ever realized that all the planets of our solar system could snugly fit in the gap between Earth and the Moon? Yes, it's true, all 8 of them, regardless of their monumental sizes and mammoth distances apart. Now, let's shift our focus to the energy factory of the cell, the mitochondria. You might recall it from your high school biology classes, but were you aware that the mitochondria in your cells possess their own distinct DNA independent from the DNA located in the cell nucleus? Let's change the scene now. In the intriguing world of physics, there exists a captivating phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. This is an enigmatic and captivating concept where a pair of particles become intertwined, and the condition of one can instantaneously influence the other, regardless of the distance separating them. Shifting scenes again, have you come across the concept of the placebo effect? It's a psychological occurrence where patients witness tangible improvements in their health merely through the belief of receiving treatment even when they're not. Now let's highlight a fact about the adult human body. Did you know it contains enough hydrogen atoms to fill more than 10 full buckets of water? And on the topic of hydrogen, were you aware that it's the most plentiful element in the cosmos? Representing about 75% of its elemental now, let's switch scenes to discuss the speed of light. It's the universe's speed champion, racing at an astonishing 186,000 miles per second. But did you realize that sunlight takes approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach our planet? As a final note, were you aware that the universe, despite its enormous size, is in a constant state of expansion? Scientists estimate it's spreading out at a rhythm of about 44 miles per second per megaparsec. That wraps up science section. Now, let's transition into some interesting food facts. Did you know that honey never spoils? Picture this. Archaeologists discovering pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are over 3,000 years old and still perfectly edible. Quite the endurance, isn't it? Now let's shift our focus to the unassuming potato. Imagine this resilient vegetable powering up a small light bulb. Quite the powerhouse, just don't count on it for your dinner. Next, we delve into the curious history of tomatoes. Once feared as deadly in the United States, it was avoided until the 19th century. Now for the fire lovers, imagine the Carolina Reaper, the world's spiciest chili pepper, clocking a blistering 2.2 million on the Scoville heat unit scale. That's like setting your mouth on fire with over 200 jalapenos. Let's now appreciate the world's most costly spice, saffron. Visualize collecting 75,000 saffron blossoms to produce a single pound of this golden spice. Now, for the chocolate connoisseurs, ever noticed how the aroma of chocolate seems to calm your nerves? That's because it increases theta brainwaves, which triggers relaxation. On a lighter note, did you know that the world's largest popcorn ball was over 12 feet in diameter? Quite the popcorn party! Now let's explore the life cycle of pineapples. Imagine waiting nearly 3 years for a single pineapple to mature. All that anticipation for a tropical treat. Ever wondered why apples float in water? Because they are 25% air. Next time you go apple bobbing, remember this fun fact. And finally, we end our foodie journey with a twist. Peanuts, despite their name, aren't actually nuts. They're legumes, just like peas and lentils. That concludes our food trivia. Now let's dive into the exhilarating world of sports. Have you ever marveled at the speed of a tennis serve? The fastest one was recorded at a blistering 263.4 kilometers per h. This incredible feat was accomplished by none other than Sam Groth, an Australian tennis maestro, in the year 2013. Now let's switch our attention to the soccer field. The biggest win margin in a football match is a staggering 31-0, recorded in a match between Australia and American Samoa in 2001. Staggering, isn't it? Now let's bounce over to basketball. Standing tall at 8 feet and half an inch is Suleiman Ali Nashnush, the tallest pro basketball player ever. He represented the Libyan national team back in 1962. Now let's fast bowl into cricket. Sachin Tendulkar, the cricketing genius from India, holds the record for scoring 100 international centuries, a record that remains unbeaten. Next, let's sprint over to athletics. Usain Bolt, the speedster, holds the record for being the fastest man on Earth. He holds the 100-meter world record at 9.58 seconds. Shifting to baseball, you'd be surprised to know that the longest professional baseball game lasted an unbelievable 8 hours and 6 minutes. Talk about overtime. Now let's swing over to golf. The highest score on a single hole is a shocking 68. This unfortunate record was set by a player in 1971. Let's dive into swimming. The longest swim ever completed spanned 225 kilometers. That's equivalent to swimming from Angeles to San Diego. Now, let's charge into rugby. The highest points scored in a single match is a whopping 64. This record was set by New Zealand's Simon Culhane in 1999. And finally, let's step into the boxing ring. The longest professional boxing bout lasted a grueling 7 hours and 19 minutes, a record way back in 1893. That's our roundup of sports. Now let's into our final segment, the glamorous world of entertainment. Have you ever wondered what the longest movie ever made is? It's The Cure for Insomnia, with a staggering runtime of 857 hours. Forget popcorn, you'll need to stock up on coffee and energy drinks for this month-long movie marathon. Now, let's move from the silver screen to the stage. The record for the longest concert by a solo artist goes to Indian legend Ravi Shankar, who strummed his sitar for an incredible 24 hours without interruption. Switching gears to box office records, the film that sits atop the heap, garnering an adjusted gross of over $3 billion, is timeless epic Gone with the Wind. Let's shift to the music charts now. The Beatles hold the record for the most #1 hits, boasting an astounding 20 top singles on the Billboard Hot 100, adding a twist to the tale. Did you know that the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, never rocked beyond the borders of North America, never performing a single concert overseas? Finally, we turn our attention to the small screen. TV's crowning glory is the 2018 World Cup final, which captivated over half the planet. And that concludes our whirlwind tour of entertainment facts ready to be your conversation starters. Well, that's our 100 facts that will surely keep your conversations going. We've journeyed through the animal kingdom, marveled at the wonders of the world, and delved into the intriguing oddities of the human body. We've pondered the mysteries of the universe, celebrated the triumphs of technology, and revisited the highlights of history. Our voyage didn't stop there. We've also unraveled surprising science, indulged in foodie facts, cheered for spectacular sports, and reveled in the entertainment extravaganza. It's been quite a ride, hasn't it? Each fact, a gem in the treasure chest of knowledge, each one a spark to ignite a fascinating conversation. So, whether you're a social butterfly or a curious cat, remember these facts are your arsenal, your conversation starters. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed these fascinating facts. Remember, knowledge is always at your fingertips.